Welcome to Thank God You're Not My Child. Yes, it's a comedy podcast where I talk about whatever I want to. I know, it's kind of weird, but after retiring after so many years in childcare and not having your kids at home and all of that fun stuff, I gotta have someone to talk to. And that's you. So today we're gonna get started because I am pretty sure I'm gonna piss some people off today. That shit soapbox I have, we're going to talk about homework. Now, just hold on. I definitely remember when I was growing up. It was a long time ago. 54, I know. But when I started kindergarten, it was just a place to go and play. I remember kindergarten, and I had a blast. I had good friends, a good teacher. I'm not sure really. I mean, yeah, I could cut, those kindergarten things. Back then, it was a lot less stuff to learn in kindergarten than there is now. I think we can all agree on that. But, I got to first grade and everything seemed to be on fine. I was definitely that child, hard to believe, just listen to this, that didn't talk a lot. I know, like, holy shit, what happened with that? And when I hit second grade, about 2 weeks into second grade, the teacher called my mama. One of my first, oh my gosh, I hope I'm not in trouble, called my mama kind of thing. And the teacher let her know that I did not know how to talk. I did not know how to make sounds because I came out looking just like my mama. And I had a big sister that loved me and did everything for me. And I never learned it was wah wah. It was just no words. I was just always quiet, and they just thought I was a quiet person. So I did second grade 2 times in a row because I went through speech therapy for 2 second grades, a third grade, a fourth grade, and a fifth grade. And I know that is the funniest thing ever. If you have listened to me over the years, because I can talk, 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 talk. Do you remember the movie The Music Man? When all of those ladies are talking, it's like, like the tick, 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 tick. There was a song and all. Anyway, once I started talking, there was really no going back. It was just one of those things that happened. Doing homework was very hard for me because I just didn't have those study habits and didn't want to. I was ADHD, so focusing was really hard. So whenever I hit high school, I realized that this is crazy. I doing homework, I had to write and write and write and write. Like your spelling words, I had to write 100 times just to grasp it. And spelling definitions. And I'm in high school now. These things are getting really hard because I don't really understand what it takes for me to study because everybody is different. And it was very hard. And like I've said before in the other ones, I was pregnant in high school. I had to take care. I mean, all of those roads I took that were so odd and different. But I didn't really know how to study habits. And so high school was very hard for me. And all of the classes I took after for childcare, it was like banging my head because if I watched someone do it, I nailed it. But reading how to do something was just so hard for me. And I never learned how to study. So when I had my kids, I really wanted them to understand reading was very important. Studying was very important. It didn't matter if it was for school or if you liked football and needed to know the rules or it was stats on baseball. It doesn't matter what it is. Kids need to know how to learn in all different ways. And if my kids didn't get their work done at home, homework could be hard. I understand that. Um, I had a son and a daughter that was night and different. They were day and night different. And he was more like me on study habits, and it was like breaking our head breaking our head on the book just to learn something. But, if we could watch a video on it or something, we'd get it nailed. But my daughter was more like her dad, and they're just very smart people and learn very easy. Because, there's smart people, they're not all brainiacs. I get it. But man, I just was not that person. I was not the one that could study. So I wanted my kids to know how. But it was many nights where there was just too much homework, and I totally understood that. And so when I hear parents talking now about there needs to be no homework, I can't disagree with that completely. But there are kids that might need a little more. So if you're saying there's no homework ever, then that child that was like me that needs 10 minutes of looking at definitions, even if it's just writing them, hearing them, because sometimes my mom or dad would read off definitions so I could hear them, or I'd get a cassette player and read them, and then I could listen to them because it would, however, I had to learn. And so each child's going to be different. So there's going to be some child, they just need to do homework. And it's just one of those, we're all different in life kind of things, And so when I hear parents complaining there should not be any homework, well, these are some of the same parents that are taking their kids out for 4 hours of softball or baseball on a school night. What's the difference in homework or baseball? What's the difference of basketball or homework? What's the difference? You're spending time with them. If you sit down and help your kids with homework, guess what? It's just as glorious if you're watching them or you're playing baseball with them. Or if you take your 6-year-old to the park, take them home afterwards and sit down with their spelling words or something. Go over it. Play a game with it. There's things you can do because you never waste time when you're with your kids. And that's my whole bottom line. I did see a TikTok of a guy, and I understand, and he was like, teachers, if you cannot teach your child, or my child, let's say it like he said it, if you cannot, you have 8 hours to teach my child. If you cannot teach their child, oh well, because we have stuff to do tonight. They're not going to be doing homework. We have baseball. We have stuff. We are not going to waste the time. And I made a video for the podcast because if you are sitting down with your child learning definitions, learning spelling words, going over the star graph or whatever, it's not a waste of time. You're with your kid. So I totally disagree with some of that. Time with your kid is always glorious. Cleaning their room, with taking a walk, cooking some cornbread. That was one that all daycare liked to cook because it was so easy to cook cornbread. Mowing the lawn. Let them help water the stuff. Time with your kids is never wasted. And that's my whole thing on homework. Is I totally disagree. Each kid is different. You're going to have to learn different. There might be, my son was the type to waste time during class. Maybe your child is that child that there's just too much going on and they just can't seem to get their work done. And if they have to do it at home, guess what? It's part of a lesson that they learn. I mean, it's a hard lesson that, oh, you didn't finish your work at school? Instead of blaming the teacher that they gave them too much, you might want to check to see if that kid actually did something in class, or if they sat there for 45 minutes and an hour and colored in their notebook, because that happens a lot. And if you're a teacher, you just need to say, amen. I see kids wasting time all day long, and then you get hounded because they have to take their homework home. It's called accountability. You've got to have accountability with your kids too. So let's just say, homework is hard. It's hard. It sucks. Do your work during the day. But yet there still might be some at night. So I totally get what you're saying, but, let's just think about this. What do you want your kids to be when they grow up? Are they going to go to college? Because college, you think you've got to have studying habits for college? Holy hell. Or even a trade school. You think they don't do homework in a trade school? Might not be college, but you're still going to learn a career. So you go to welding. Guess what? I bet there's some homework in welding school. Guess what? I bet there's homework in any school you go to, trade school, college, or nothing. So how are your kids going to learn how to do their homework and learn and memorize and just learn, basically, if they're not ever going to know how to sit down and do homework or study? Yeah, I said it was my shit soapbox. And I was not lying. I get so many people mad at me because they think kids shouldn't have to. They're in school too long. And I do agree with that. But I also think each kid is different. And it's okay. Figure out how your kid has to learn. That's what life is about. Is tweaking life that fits your kid. And if your kid needs to do a little homework, sit down with them. If your kid's the kid that knows it all, like my daughter was, and she had homework, I know she did, because she was constantly studying, but she was so good at it that I never had to worry. I did help her a few times with her homework if she needed it. It was more her daddy, because he's much smarter than I am. I'm just saying. And okay, there's a difference in smarts. He's book smart. I'm just gonna leave it there. But my common sense and street shit is off the chart. I can deal with anybody on the street. I couldn't sit down and study spelling words correctly in 5th grade, but I can talk to anybody. Yeah, I really wished I knew my speech therapist teacher's name, because it would be really nice to know. I remember her, and I also remember my last day in 5th grade. My last day, I was doing really good, and they knew 5th grade I was going to stop. But I ticked her off because she turned around and I wanted to see what the stapler did, and I stapled my finger. See, learning is different in all ways. I learned that stapler hurt bad as fuck. And I learned that in 5th grade, baby. There was no homework needed for that. It was just pure stupidity. And if you can say a list of things your kids have done or you have done out of pure stupidity, join the club. Making that list of your kids' stuff is something you might need to have some of those funny stories for graduation. Just like those funny pictures when your kids graduate. You know those. The ones where they're in the bathtub. Don't do those. Don't do those. Don't do those at graduation. Save those for the party at home, if you know what I mean. Okay, so I wanted to come back and talk about a few emails that I have received from teachers and parents about this subject of homework. I will tell you, the one thing that I've had from teachers is most teachers don't like sending homework home. Okay, parents? That's just all I'm going to say. Most of them do not like to. But if they have to, they will. But if you are that teacher that is sending home 2 hours every night with kids, you need to check yourself. You need to check yourself. Because do you want to do 2 or 3 hours of work after you've worked? I mean, because school is a job for kids. I mean, let's think about this. They have to get up early. They have to be on time. They have to do what they're told. It's work. It is work to learn. And if they don't want to work for 2 or 3 hours or an hour every day after work and school, and you don't want to, why the fuck are you doing it? Kids have to learn, and I understand that. But come on, if you are that teacher that is sending an hour of homework every night with every kid, I'm going to just very nicely tell you you're the problem. I'm not sure if that's going to be hearable. I'm working on sound and all, but you're the problem. And parents, if your kid has heard you say there shouldn't be homework sent home, your kid's not going to want to do that homework. Okay? One of our most important things that we have to learn as a parent and a teacher is you have to be together, people. You have to be together. You have to work together. And be nice. I mean, parents, those are the only kids you're going to have. Teachers, you have 25, 30, sometimes some of you have 100 kids every year. You're the only teacher they're going to have that year that's doing this. That's a lie. High school, middle school sometimes have lots of teachers. But do you want to be that teacher that makes them do homework for 2 or 3 hours a night? Or do you want to do that teacher that might be hard as a rock on them, but makes them learn in their own way, even if it's homework? I mean, if you got to, you got to. But do you want to be that teacher? Do you want to be that teacher? I wanted to be that teacher that helped kids learn and love them. And yes, maybe sometimes there was hard things of homework and stuff. But you know what? Respect me, I'll respect you. Learn. That's what we're going to do. We're going to learn. As a teacher, you've got to learn each kid. That's why you became a teacher. It's to teach kids. So let's just respect them. And I'm just going to pray that kids will start respecting you, because that's one thing I can say I don't like watching on TikTok is all of these. I cannot believe how some of these kids act towards teachers. I could not imagine it. If I acted towards a teacher like that, my mama would spank my ass when I got home. And I'm just telling you, you don't do it. You don't do it, people. And parents, don't talk bad about your kids' teachers in front of your kids. You shouldn't talk bad about anybody in front of your kids, but definitely don't talk bad about your kids' teachers, because one negative thing can mess a whole day up for that child. If you say, I can't believe Mrs. or Mr. Whatever, sent home an hour of homework last night, and we had things to do, and I can't believe she'd do that. Guess what? Your kids are hearing it. Don't do it. Let's team up with those teachers. Let's team up. Let's get these kids. Let's get them smart in their own way. Whether it's a trade school or college, or whether it's first grade and they got to learn to keep their hands to themselves. Teachers, parents, let's fucking work together. If your teacher you think's giving your kid too much, you know what? Email them. Ask them, hey, can we get together and talk about this? Is my kid doing something? I mean, ask them. Because maybe your kid's the one that's goofing off. I don't know. Maybe. And teacher, if there's a kid, you know it. You know it. If there's a kid that never does his homework, you might need to check his home life, because you know it. You never know. You know? I've had messages from teachers, and, the kids, there's this one boy that one teacher said that he had no money to buy extra milk, but he loved milk. And he got one milk with his lunch. And all of these kids that didn't like milk, that normally would throw them away, started realizing that he was taking them out of the trash. They're not open, okay? And I mean, but they're like, dude, if you want the milk, we'll give it to you. Well, then they realize that he has no electric at home. And the only time he gets milk is at school, and he loves milk. So you know what? It's okay. You got to learn these kids, and we know it. You started teaching to help those kids. And parents, you had these kids to let them grow and be independent. And homework might be one of those ways they learn. So remember, we're going to be together on this team. We're not going to talk bad about teachers in front of our kids. And teachers, we're going to check ourselves on those homework just in case it's too long. Because you know what? Life is more than homework. But we still have to learn. Okay, I think I've told you everything I know already. At least on homework. Maybe. Anyway, until next time. Thank God you're not my child.